It's like the Great Pumpkin versus the Vegetable Fun Fest version, I guess, if you're a Robot Chicken fan.
Confused.
Coming up this weekend, very much a who, what, why, when, and how type of fight between Warlley Alves and Danish Dynamite. Nicolas Dalby, love the nickname change from him. And a very interesting fight in this welterweight division for sure. Because when you consider for both of these guys, the reason that I open it that way, it just depends on what version we get from Dalby in his fight against, Jesse Ronson. He gets hit by a punch, gets dropped, gets choked out. In his fight that he had against Daniel Rodriguez, pitter-patter on the outside. Neither guy really has a great opportunity to win it. It's a win on Dalby's ledger, but most people thought that Rodriguez won. And if you go down through it for Dalby, since he's been back with the UFC in his second stint, it's kind of been every single fight. His fight against Alex Oliveira, very hot and cold close. His last time out against Claudio Silva was awful to rewatch. It was a terrible fight.
Claudio's an old man.
Silva took him down, won the first round. Second round, Dalby wins. Third round, Silva can't get the takedown. Dalby wins it, but it was a terrible fight. And Dalby didn't look all that great in that one either. He was emotional after he got the win, and rightfully so. But for Warlley Alves, I mean, again, on these guys' respective best days, they have wins over, like I said, Daniel Rodriguez for Nicolas Dalby and Colby Covington for Warlley Alves. And on their worst day, you're losing to, again, Jesse Ronson, Jeremiah Wells. I mean, I like Wells, but still, Alves has had very high highs, low lows, and the same can be said against Dalby. And I know both of us have a hard time trying to predict fights from both of these guys.
It's terribly difficult to do because, like you said, there's two versions of both guys. One version can go in there and have competitive fights with pretty much anybody in the division. I'm not going to tell you Warlley Alves could beat, I don't know, Kamaru Usman right now. Like, that'd be pretty difficult, but you know what I mean. Like, he's gonna make a good account of himself, but that's the thing. When he doesn't, it seems to all go wrong. Like, here's the stat that really stands out to me of Shaquille O'Neal's career. Shaq's one of the greatest players ever. You know, he got swept 7 times in the playoffs? When it goes bad, it goes horrible. And that's kind of the thing for Warlley. Not that he's on Shaq's level, but when he can't get the takedown, when he's almost unsure of his own striking ability on the outside, that's when Warlley can get caught in the mirror a little bit. Because the thing about Alves is, it really does, it feels like to me, comes down to confidence. When he's the one moving forward, blasting his kicks, going to the body, going to the head, he's a difficult fighter to deal with. And I like his pressure because he knows how good of a grappler he is. And we saw in the Colby Covington fight, was able to submit him. What Warlley Alves does is he forces shots out of his opponent. He's going to strike with you, you're going to get uncomfortable, shoot for a bad takedown, and then as a result from that poor takedown, Alves is a wizard on the mat. I just don't know. This fight could either be like fight of the night or it could be terrible because I think there's a world where Dalby goes in there, uses a lot of clinch work, which I know might not sound like the most aesthetically pleasing type of fight, but hear me out. Use some of that clinch work, maybe get a trip, or Alves even goes for a trip off that. We get some fun scrambles, we might get some fun striking. There's also another world where we get a very low volume version of both guys on the outside. I will say, though, if we do get that version out of both guys, I do like Alves' kicks from the outside a little bit more. With Dalby, he is a little bit more of a boxer. He'll throw the leg kick out a little bit, but a lot of his success on the feet is with the elbows, it's with the hands, and I do like Alves' ability to throw some kicks from the outside.
Yeah, Dalby in this second kind of run that he's had in the UFC has been kind of like an all-the-way outside striker. He hasn't really crashed the distance all that much in these fights, and again, he had that crazy fight of the year, bloodbath over with Cage Warriors against Ross Houston. He had that great fight against Carlo Pedersoli, kind of cut from the same cloth over there.
Till fight, a lot of people, maybe not now, a lot of people remember, but at one point that was a big talking point.
And that was one of the draws, or the draw on Nicolas Dalby's ledger. But again, a lot of really, really close fights that could kind of go either way. With Warlley Alves, it's like he looks like a world beater, like he did against Mounir Lazzez. His eyes were laser focused, and he threw those banana tree kicks like an SMXen at AKA Thailand. But he didn't, well, maybe he broke rib, maybe he didn't. He looked great against Lazzez in that one, but then in his fight against Wells, he tries to kind of invite the brawl. Wells just runs across the cage, throws a flurry, and drops him. And then in the fight against Randy Brown, he just didn't really look all there. Like, that's the trouble when I try and look at a Warlley Alves fight. I mean, he won the Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 3, which is awesome. I mean, who were the coaches from that season? The Axe Murderer and Chael Sonnen. I can't let you get too close.
One of the great sound bites.
But for Alves in the UFC, high highs, low lows, 8-5, and 9 of those 13 fights have ended in a finish. So it's kind of hard to try and predict when you go into a fight like this, especially against these high kind of ranked guys or guys that get close to the title. But when you factor it in, again, you look at the odds. Alves is a slight favorite. We have a look at the Topology votes, Matt. Surprise to us there, to you. I'm going to say over under 65% Alves here.
I'll say over.
You're going to say over? 830 total votes, 70% Dalby, 85% by decision for the 30% that have Alves, 52% by decision, 26% by knockout. That surprises you.
A little bit. It really just comes down to how comfortable are you picking the volatile pick versus the more comfortable pick of the two? Because Dalby is the steadier fighter. Although he doesn't always fight up to his fullest of potentials, when it goes wrong, he's still steady, he's still defensively sound. He's not going to make such big fight-ending mistakes that are really going to cost him. But the flip side is, if he does stand on the outside, not really do an awful lot in this fight, I do think Alves is going to eat him up at kick range. I really do think that those body kicks and even the leg kicks are going to cause trouble for Dalby. And the thing is, if he's thinking about, okay, I got to worry about my leg, I got to worry about my body. What if he even goes for a takedown off of one of those kicks because the kicks are starting to bother him? I think on the mat, Alves does have a fairly big advantage. I know Randy Brown was able to triangle choke him, but again, like you had said, that was a weird fight. Please go back and watch it. That was not Warlley at his best whatsoever. And hey, Randy Brown's pretty effing good. I think we've all realized that at this point too. So ever so slightly, I guess I'll go with the more volatile of the two, the peaks and valley fighter, if you will. I'll pick Warlley Alves, but again, if you have a different prediction than me, I'm not going to say you're crazy, because I can see a lot of areas where both guys can win.
Dalby tends to be the more active guy, and the commentary always goes to it. He does like the Wim Hof Nordic breathing for the entirety of the fight. He's always like breathing in, breathing out, really heavily out through his mouth. But that's his thing, and he's talked about that in interviews. It's kind of like Demiris Magulov when he would blink in his fights. So for Nicolas Dalby, again, could he be the more active guy? Sure. I didn't love what I saw in the fight against Claudio Silva's last time out, even though he won. And for Warlley Alves, fighting in Brazil, his coach at Refit Pro Fighters, I know he's kind of got Laerte and Raoni Barcelos there. Poor Raoni, man. That was tough. But a great win for Umar Nurmagomedov. But the head coach out of that gym is the kick master. It's Pedro Hizzo. And I like that form in a matchup like this. So I also have Warlley Alves in the fight. But I'm really eager to hear what people are thinking on this one. Because majority over on Topology are going with Nicolas Dalby to get the win. Whereas at Fight Night Picks on this one, 62% going with Nicolas Dalby to get the win as well. So I guess we're on the opposite side of that one.
We're risk takers, Craig.
Let us know who you have in the fight. A couple of great title fights up at the top. UFC 283. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say,
let's get into it.